I'm Abby.
I'm Allie.
We're the Rannick Twins, and this is Oops, I Arted,
a part of the Hayden Collins Intelligence Syndicate. And today, Abby, I'd like to tell you the story that I just kind of slipped into our schedule because I saw it on Facebook, actually.
Yeah, I remember you tagging me in it.
Yeah, so the story is about a statue called Le Genie de Mal, or the Genius of Evil, or the Genie of Evil, or the Spirit of Evil.
Yeah.
Lucifer of Liège. This sculpture takes on many a name.
As they do.
It can be found in Liège, which is a city in Belgium, at St. Paul's Cathedral. So it is just a small piece of a much larger church. But there is a short and sweet, interesting backstory to this whole statue.
Yeah, so when you tagged me in this, I was like, there's no way that this is true.
Exactly, because it was on one of those pages where it's kind of questionable content.
And then it was funny, we commented on it and said we were going to do this podcast, and the page left a link for us to go off of.
And they left a link to a site that we use pretty often, and the site is thevintagenews.com, and they left the article, quite a lengthy name. The famous statue of Lucifer was installed in St. Paul's Cathedral in Liège after the previous statue was declared too seductive.
Yes, so this immediately caught my eye because both of the sculptures are beautiful.
They are. And they're actually sculpted by brothers.
Yes. So this is the equivalent of you and I. You know, one of us wasn't good enough and we're like, well, I know somebody that's really good.
Look, I know a guy.
He looks just like me.
I can get you what you need, okay? All right. So, let's get started. The first sculpture was commissioned by Joseph Giefs, or Giefs. Let us know.
Belgian names. Please help us.
And he sculpted a statue named La Ange de Mal, which means the angel of evil, in 1842. But that's the one that was removed because it was deemed too sexual. Now tell me, Abby, when you look at this picture, does it look more sexual than the one on the right?
No. Yeah, that's what confused me because I saw the first statue and I was like, wow, he's beautiful. And then I saw the second statue and I immediately thought...
It's kind of like, wah, wah.
They settled for this over the other one, but, I mean, also, when was David sculpted again? And they deemed this too sexual in 1840?
But David is a hero.
Okay.
Lucifer can't be walking around looking that hot.
And this is what gets me, is that everybody portrays Satan as this ugly being, but Lucifer was
a fallen angel?
The most beautiful angel.
And
not just
one of the strongest angels in heaven?
Yes. So that's something that I have trouble with, especially because they're not portraying Satan, they're portraying Lucifer, the fallen angel. So, yeah, he's gonna be beautiful. What do you mean?
Yeah. I mean, he's supposed to seduce you into sinning, right? Isn't that his whole gig?
Yeah. I mean, if that statue was, you know...
Anyways, I think we're getting a little sidetracked here. All right, so this statue was made in 1842. So I was looking into some stuff. I looked into this Vintage News article, and the reasons that it is considered too sexual is the statue is a young man. He's fully nude, save for the cloth that is covering his groin area and a little bit of his upper thighs. And he's chained to a stone, and there is a snake coiled up at the bottom of the statue, which...
We can only assume that's the snake from the
Garden
story.
of Eden.
Yeah.
Yes, of course. And his legs were crossed at the ankles. He was kind of man-spreading.
And that's what bothers me too, is because you told me it was too seductive because his legs were spread, but his legs were hardly spread in my opinion, I think, compared to man-spreading in today's time. I mean, usually men are like, I can even cross my legs. And I know that that's nonsense, so.
I agree. And also in the second statue, he's got that arm up.
Anyway.
And I think, personally, in the first statue, it looks like the cloth could be a little bit bigger than it is.
Yeah.
It's a little up on that thigh region.
He's pretty scantily clad.
There's room for the imagination.
Just a little.
Okay, but they had it removed. The religious officials weren't very happy with the statue because they were basically upset at how beautiful it was.
Well, and I remember reading, and granted this is from the Wikipedia article, I remember reading that the young girls were distracted from the sermons because of the sculpture. And if you think of it, 1840 what? 1848?
1842 is when the statue from Joseph.
There's no phones where you can look up beautiful men. This is what you get to see when you go to church, you know? So I think I might be a little bit distracted too. But the second one?
Yeah, I think the girls were like, oh, we're not distracted anymore. It's fine. Fine. Yeah, we're looking at the books.
Shh, don't tell them. Don't look at them too hard.
So I also read a good quote, the Vintage article. It said, quote, the statue represents the fascination with Satan and the occult during the Romanticism period.
Yeah, so if you guys are familiar with Romantic era art, some of it's pretty dark as far as Henry Fuseli and all of his art, and a lot of it had, I guess you could consider it religious imagery.
Well, there's also just a lot of fascination with sin and with the repercussions of sinning at the time. Definitely could do a whole podcast episode about that.
I love romantic art.
But anyway, so the statue was removed and they commissioned his brother, whose name looks really hard to pronounce, but it's just Gium.
Gium?
Gium.
So he's Jim. He's Jim Geese.
Well, the Wikipedia page said William as well. So I don't know. Anyways, he finished the statue in 1848, which really makes me wonder, like, were they upset about the statue right off the rip? They, like, got it up there and they're like, no.
Well, you'd think that something that, I mean, statues take a long time.
That's what I was thinking.
It's not something that you just work up overnight, you know, and that, you'd think that they'd send somebody from the church, like an advisor, to check up and be like, oh,
dude, maybe you should take a couple more, like, make his face a little more gaunt, you know? You don't want him looking too sexy.
Yeah, so I feel like they maybe should have checked up on him because you can take it away, but you can't add. So after a certain point, I mean, I understand he wouldn't be able to do it, but I think it took so long because he had to sculpt they needed a whole new sculpture, right?
Yeah, but his was finished in 1848. Like, it was installed 6 years after Joseph's.
I think that's pretty quick. I think that's considered...
I think that was pretty quick, too. Especially for how well the fabric work looks and the scaling in the bat wings and stuff like that.
All of it is just truly incredible.
It is definitely something I would like to see. But anyways, his statue is Le Genie des Morts, which is the genius of evil. And us English folk know him as Lucifer. I thought it was very interesting that they call him the genius of evil. Like, that's still a pretty lofty title.
Yes.
Like, Lucifer kind of has a tarnished name.
Well, and even the angel of Eve. They didn't consider him what we consider him now. He was this fallen angel, you know, cast down.
I feel like we got some disrespect for Lucifer these days.
He's not a red goat man, okay? He's beautiful.
Yeah, so the second statue, both of them are sculpted in white marble. And he looks much like the first statue. He's got the bat wings with the scaling.
Long hair.
Yes.
Very muscular. Actually, the second sculpture is more ripped than the first.
I would agree.
And I also like the addition, the apple at his feet, which I didn't notice mentioned in any of the articles that I read about these sculptures, but I think it's a nice homage to the first sculpture with the snake, and then he had the apple with a bite taken out of it to signify the knowledge, etc.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty cool. I find it very surprising that no one said anything about the apple as well.
So yeah, in the Wikipedia article that I read, they mentioned, I can't remember what else he was holding in his hand, but that as well as the crown.
He has the broken scepter.
Oh yeah, the staff, yeah, okay. And then, once again, chained to the rock, but he also has that apple at his feet, which I think is just a super nice addition.
But it's just so funny, because at the end of this article, it says... And just for the record, the second sculpture was made by the older brother. Cough, cough. But immediately people were like, this is much, much better. This keeps the classical beauty of Lucifer, but it's not sexual.
See the way he's got his arm up? I've seen some guys in profile pictures pose the same exact way. Also, I understand there is more cloth in his groin area, which I'm sure is kind of what they were insinuating that they wanted, but not much, honestly. His knees are together in this image, whereas his ankles aren't crossed or anything.
But that arm. But like we said, this statue is just a small piece of a much larger
pulpit, right?
Yeah, and it's in the middle of the pulpit, and there's a double staircase.
Double spiral staircase.
Yes, and I don't know if Guillaume planned this or what, but the staircase almost accentuates the shape of the wings.
Them. I definitely think that he did that intentionally. A part of making a statue is kind of knowing where the statue is, which is, remember in our David episode, we talked about how his features were so exaggerated and how his hands are huge. Oh. Well, and it's because he intended for the statue to be seen from a certain angle. So for Guillaume.
It might be Guillaume.
Guillaume? Well, and that's why I think Wikipedia may have said William, because maybe the Belgian pronunciation might be closer to William, and we might just be totally butchering his name.
I think it's Guillaume. I write down pronunciation spellings.
Yes, well, you have to. Most of the stuff we go over, it's either really old or it's not from the modern English language that we know today.
And since we were talking about David being 16 feet tall, this statue and the other one were about 5.5 feet tall. When you look at St. Paul's Cathedral as a whole, the building, the Romanticism era, the Gothic style.
Yes, I was about to say the pulpit is definitely really Gothic, in my opinion.
I agree.
I mean, if you look at any Catholic church from around this time period, they're all just so incredibly intricate, very detailed. There are multiple sculptures in this pulpit. He's like right at the center. Yeah, right at the center of the double staircases that are coming down on either side of him. I believe their pulpit, what is it? The triumph of religion over the genius of evil. What their theme for the pulpit was.
But yeah, this says the uplifted right arm allows the artist to explore the tension of the muscles. It's a beautiful rendition of said muscles. And the angle of the head suggests that the genie is warding off divine chastisement. So he's like, "Stop it, Dad."
He's like playing with his hair moodily. I'm going to my room.
So yeah, that's Le Genie du Mal.
This was kind of fun because we kind of decided to do this really quick.
About time for a visual artist.
Kind of in the air, but then we found this. I kind of love that it's short and sweet because on stories like Van Gogh...
And there will be many more Van Gogh episodes, I'm sure.
This was nice because we're not rushing to get through any information. Just a nice short story that I don't think a lot of people have heard about. You should definitely go check out The Genius of Evil or The Angel of Evil on Google Images and bask in the glory of...
And you also should check us out on YouTube at Oops I Arted, and you can email us with any feedback at oopsiartedpod@gmail.com.
Please like our videos, share our videos, tell your friends if they like art. Even if they don't, just make them listen to it. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yep, that's all this week. Bye.